Alright, so then in the last video for this section is we're going to talk about perpendicular lines and their slopes. Alright, so the last video we said parallel slopes or parallel lines have the same slopes. Well, perpendicular lines are negative reciprocals of each other, or the product of their slopes is equal to -1. Alright, so that means if we have two lines and we want to know if they're perpendicular, you need to multiply them together and see if they equal to -1. If they do, then they're perpendicular. If they don't, then they are not perpendicular. Alright, and then, just like with parallel, if I give you two slopes, or if I tell you two lines are if I tell you that the product of the two lines are -1, then that means they are perpendicular. Right? And in this case, if we have a horizontal and a vertical line, horizontal and vertical lines, they are perpendicular. All right, so a horizontal and a vertical line will always be perpendicular. When we try to multiply these together, you can't actually get -1 because we would have 0 in our denominator or 0 in our numerator, so it won't actually equal -1, but horizontal and vertical lines are always perpendicular. Alright, so now we're going to do a couple examples. Alright, so the first example is to determine if line 1 is perpendicular to line 2. So the same thing as before, we're going to have to find and use our slope formula to determine if these two lines are perpendicular, because we have to find the slopes of each. So it's y2 minus y1 over top of x2 minus x1. Alright, so we will find a slope for line 1. So we need to get to 2 points. So line 1 has the points -4, 2, and 0, -4. So it's -4, 2, and 0, -4. We needed to denote one of these x1, y1, and x2, y2. And then we plug it in our formula. So our slope is equal to -4 minus 2 over top of 0 minus -4. And we know that this turns to plus, so our slope for line 1 is equal to -6 over top of 4, which is then equal to -3 over 2. So that is the slope for line 1. To find a slope for line 2, our points are -5, 3, and 4, 3. So -5, -3, and 4, 3. We denote these as x1, y1, x2, y2. Our slope formula, we plug it in. So it's 3 minus -3 over top of 4 minus -5. These both will turn to plus. So then our slope is equal to 6 over top of 9, which is then equal to 2 over top of 3. And that's our slope for line 2. So now to see if these two lines are perpendicular, we need to multiply them together. We need to do L1 times L2. And we need to see, does it equal to -1? So then we plug in our two slopes. So then our slope for line 1 was -3 over 2. Our slope for line 2 was 2 over 3. And -3 over -3, they both will reduce to 1. They both will reduce to 1. 2 and 2, since we have 1 in our numerator and 1 in our denominator, they both will reduce to 1 as well. So they do multiply and give us -1. So yes, line 1 is perpendicular to line 2. All right, one more example, then we're done with this. All right, so just like before, we are going to find an equation of a line that is perpendicular to a given line and that we know passes through this given point. So we need to find our y is equal to mx plus b. That's our slope-intercept formula. And in order for us to solve for this equation, we need to find for our slope and our y-intercept. Well, they gave us the slope of 1 over 5. And we know that the two lines are perpendicular. So then to find this, we need to take this negative reciprocal. So remember, the reciprocal is we flip it. You say you love me, but now you flip them like reciprocals. So we need to change. Our numerator goes to our denominator, and our denominator goes to our numerator. So it becomes 5 over 1. And then we need to find its negative reciprocal. So since it was positive to begin with, we would multiply it, or we change it to a negative. But in this case, we just always multiply it by a negative. And that will mean that -5 is a slope that is perpendicular to 1 over 5. You can check your work by multiplying it together. So 1 over 5 times negative 5. The 5's will reduce each other to 1, so this is equal to negative 1. All right? Now, or what you could do if you didn't want to do it that way of the negative reciprocals, you can take the slope that you're given, and then we can say 1 over 5 times our new slope has to be equal to negative 1, and then we can just solve for our new slope. In this case, multiply each side by 5, and our slope is equal to negative 5. Either way, it's fine. All right, so now we know our y is equal to negative 5 times x plus b, and just like before, we know that our x passes through 15 and our y negative 4, so we can plug it in. So it's negative 4 is equal to negative 5 times 15, because that was our x plus b. And now we just need to solve, so negative 4 is then equal to negative 75 plus b. We will add over 75, and b is equal to 71. So now our final answer is y is equal to negative 5x plus 71. All right, so that is a line that is perpendicular to the given line of y is equal to 1/5 x plus 2, and it passes through the given points of 15, negative 4. All right, that is it for this section, and that's it for this chapter as well.